Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're having a flip through my Beastiary as promised. This is my more recent journal. I'm very excited about this one. This one I had learned a few things by the time I started this. So it's got a little bit, I'm a little bit more excited about it than the other one. Not that the other one's bad, but this one just excites me a little more. If you've watched my Green Celestial, this is the next one I made after that. So just starting before we even open this, cat hair, because why not? Also, someone started up a jackhammer. If you can hear it, I really am sorry. There's just no way to avoid things like this. I haven't found a suitable closure for the outside, so I'm still using a rubber band, which, you know what, probably gives it an air of authenticity, to be honest. There was a couple of aborted attempts at latches and things that just did not work. Excuse me. So yeah, that's unfinished, but we'll see how we go. But just so you can see that a little bit closer, this is actually decoupaged. So I used an old folder from an old diary, like an old fold-up paper diary, and coated it with this, what do you call it, like napkin sort of tissue paper that I got from a craft store. Decoupage is really simple, like really simple. It's something I will show you guys in a later video so you can see how it's done, but it is really easy. But I painted underneath it as well before I did it, because obviously the tissue paper is quite sheer and I wanted it to have that sort of antique-y look, but I didn't want to ruin the look of the prints, so that's how I did it that way. I also have used some texture paste and hand painted some little details on the front here. I also couldn't find a plaque that I liked, so I actually made that out of hot glue. This is, what do you call it? Like regular printer paper, where I printed out the word Beastiary, and then I drew around it sort of rough. I used actually a cookie cutter as a rough shape, and I added sort of a rough idea of where I wanted the scrolls to go, and I just basically piped hot glue as best I could. It is a little bit, I don't know, rougher than I'd like, although I'm kind of going for a natural look, so I think that works. But it's a little rougher than I would like, but I don't know if you've ever tried to play with hot glue, it burns. So I'm pretty proud of that, all said. And then I, of course, lacquered over the words so that it would be protected. Hot glue is also very easy to paint over. So I painted over black, as you can see, and then kind of like gilded it with some gold paint just to sort of make it look a little bit more antique. But yeah, I'm pretty proud with that. I'm pretty happy with how that is. So if you can't find the exact thing you're after, don't feel like you can't just make one. Like, give it a crack. How bad could it actually be? And I don't even know whether it's OCD or what it is, but I just have to check that this is filming. Whoops, falling over. Yes, okay. So if you've been with me for long, you'll know that I've got some issues. I just wanted to check that I actually had that filming before I kept going, and to find out at the end that I hadn't recorded any of it, that would be really sad. So I'm just going to take that band off. So this was an almost sort of slight trifold. I'm still not happy with this. I was planning to do something on the inside cover, but I can't figure out what yet. So that's potentially going to change. That's sort of like a holding place to hold the seams protected, but I may put something in there. I don't know. I didn't want to mess with it too much, because as you can see where I've torn off like aborted attempts at clips and things like that, I didn't want to do any more damage to this area, so I just sort of left it for now. But given that this is supposed to be like a recovered dossier, I think it lends itself to the sort of, you know, someone may do in the office. You know, they didn't have a stapler, so they used this, or they didn't, you know, couldn't get a new folder, so they just reinforced it, that sort of thing. So I'm telling myself it works. So I probably should have said that my thinking behind this journal was like a lost dossier sort of thing. Think kind of like X-Files, but sort of 40s style, so noir kind of style, where someone has been either tasked with or on their own back gone to investigate, you know, disturbances in the woods, and recorded the things that they found, you know, with the intent to send it to head office, and it's been shelved. You know, think Top Men, you know, kind of, you know, if you understand that Indiana Jones reference. So that's my front cover there. And just as we open the cover, I love wax seals. I actually was learning how to do wax seals at this point too, so you'll see a few of them. I've got a stamped and embossed piece of cardstock there that I've cut out with a scalloped, still can't think of what they're called, like the rolling plate where you roll it through the thing and it cuts it and then you roll it back out. I do have a Cricut, but in all seriousness, setting up a Cricut is such a ordeal for someone with ADHD. If you can just reach over, grab a thing, cut a thing and get started, it's so much nicer. So inside that pocket, I've got, I love this dress. A lot of these images are from Pinterest or digital images that I've purchased, or in the cases of like this paper, for example, this is an actual purchased paper, purchase stickers, that kind of thing. So where possible, I've, you know, used legit versions of it. If not, I've sort of had found images if I couldn't find it. This is from Pinterest. I cannot find who designed this, but I love it. And I've made that into a postcard. So I printed out a postcard cardstock and sort of made that into a postcard, which I thought was pretty cool. I've also, this is one of my test embossing and my test stamping. I don't know if you can see that there. I've sort of made it into a little letter. This was a test piece that I ended up sort of keeping, and some more test pieces. So I've got music notes on that cardstock there. And my husband actually 3D printed me this triple goddess, like, I can't think of the word, like a badge sort of thing. So I just ran that through to see how that went, and that turned out quite nicely. Obviously that's better on this like recycled paper that's quite thick and fluffy because it's easier to squish, and that's just with a regular embossing folder on cardstock. It's probably an easier way for you to see the pattern even though it's reversed. So they were some of my test pieces, and that was the gorgeous roses. Some of these were actually the embossing folders were given to me by my darling friend Zoe, so if she's watching, thank you Zoe, that's your roses. It's always good to pass on craft stuff to other people if you don't want it. I've offloaded quite a few things to friends and family, because if it sits in your cupboard doing nothing, it may be the thing that the other person's been waiting for to finish up a project. So a sticker on the front there, and I also, as you noticed, I'd learned how to age pages at this point, and I got a little bit excited. So it does look a little bit like they've been dragged through the dirt, but I'm cool with that. That's kind of what I was going for. So I'm going to page 2, and we've got our dryad folder here. So we've got our dryad and our satyr. They're just aged on the back on thick cardstock. So that's sort of 2 like subject photos, if you will. And then there's a little, whoops, good strong paper clip there on a created envelope with a pretend little tag that I've got from a digital image. And I've just made a little file there. It could be used as a journal card. That's some more of that paper that had the Japanese maple leaves debossed, I want to say, in it. So that, I'm not sure if I have a purpose for this journal as yet. I didn't really think of that when I was making it. I just had an idea in mind. I wanted to see it in front of me. So I don't know that I'm planning to really write in this at all. I think, you know, possibly I might add some details to make it look more like it's been filled out by someone, but I'm happy with this as it is. And I've got another sun wax melt there, some of these little papers. Funny story about these papers. I bought these papers off one of the online dollar stores. I had no idea how small they were. I should have read the measurements more clearly. I was expecting them to be A4. Clearly they are not. So instead of them being sort of pages in a journal, I had originally folded them with the intent to make a small booklet, and then thought they're plain on the other side. I don't think I'll bother. I think I'll leave that as like letter paper. So this is kind of like, and I've these are some paper that I've actually made myself, and I aged them up a little bit. So I thought this is sort of like note paper where the person who's doing the investigating is going to actually take their notes. So I've got our first subject, Mandrake. This is a picture I've had forever. I actually printed this on vellum. I don't know if you can actually see that. You can sort of see my finger through there. I made a Harry Potter inspired traveler's notebook forever ago, which I've since pulled apart, but I actually made that same traveler's notebook into a Lord of the Rings inspired traveler's notebook, so I'll go through that one for you too one day. But this was my first attempt to print on vellum. I have an inkjet printer and I knew it could work, but I just wanted to see how it worked. And just, if you want to try this, firstly, get very thick vellum. The thin stuff is very hard to work with. What I actually did was I didn't try to put the vellum itself through the printer because I had been warned it's fragile. So I had a piece not much bigger than the image I wanted. I did a test print and I saw exactly where my image was going to turn out on that page. I washi taped the vellum over the top of it and then I printed it again so that I knew it would go just exactly where it was going to go. I wasn't going to waste any vellum. It had the bite of regular paper to feed itself through. So that turned out brilliantly. I've since printed a lot of vellum that way. You'll notice when I use glue to stick it down, it has sort of, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of eaten the page a little bit. It's sort of like almost melted it in. So do be careful what you glue it with because it will damage the vellum. Just some of these lovely pictures and digital papers that I've either found or purchased. I just love how they look. And I love the sort of, you know, fake writing stamps. I think they look fantastic, like someone's taken notes on this. Very, very much, just niche for me. I very much enjoy it. This is another digital paper that I sort of mashed together. This is some paper I put together from a something. What was this from? I want to say this was the last couple of pages of a sketchbook. I think there was about 10 pages left in a sketchbook, and I sort of thought, I don't know what to do with this sketchbook. I don't really want to keep it. But, you know, there's 10 really hard, heavyweight pages, so you'll see these pop up again later on. But they're just in there, so they can be for notes. I may even make it into sort of a report. So like, you know, subject name and sort of thing. I don't know yet. I was just really excited to have this finished. And typical neurodivergent dopamine ran out the second I was done. So I may come back to it. I do cycle through my obsessions. You can see there where I've stitched it in, just simple stitching. I will show you how to do that as well one day if there's interest in it. It's very, very simple, believe me, if I can do it. And I'm not putting myself down. I'm saying I have very, very weak hands. So if I can do this, pretty much anyone can. It's not as hard as you think. I would recommend making sure you have an awl or some sort of sharp poking device that you can poke holes through multiple layers of, in some cases, some pretty thick card. But if that's something you're interested in, let me know and I'll do a tutorial on that. I tried to make a little like belly band thing here. I don't know if I love it. I don't hate it. So I tried to stick something on this paper. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to own up to all my mistakes, don't you worry. I tried to stick something on the paper and I didn't like it and I tore it off and some of it got stuck and I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? This is already in a thing that I've sort of stuck together. What am I going to do? So I stuck this embossed board over it and it looked a little dull. And then I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I made a little band out of some scrap pages and glued it on. That's actually not stitched. That's a stamp. So I don't know if you can see that. That's actually not stitched. See, it's a stamp. So that's pretty cool if you like the idea of stitched things, but you're not really keen to use a sewing machine on it. Great way to do it. This is actually some stamped, that book that, if you've seen my green Celestial, the book pages that were in that, they were from a book that had very much died. It was a very old book. It was about 40 or 50 years old, and the spine, oh, now the sun's gone away. We're on fire. Hopefully the light will come back for you. I'm sorry. If you've seen The Fifth Element, just start screaming Aziz's light at the screen. Yeah, so I used this page and I just sort of black stamped the paper and cut them out. So they give you a kind of newspaper looking print, which I think they look quite effective. They won't work for every project, but I quite like them. And in that I added this little trifold. This was actually a printable, and there's a little elf leaf as well from my Lord of the Rings things. Everyone must have yelled at the screen very well because the sun's coming back. Thank you so much. So this was like a little bifold printable that I made, and I've put a bunch of little sort of dossier style pictures. So I love this image. I found it on Pinterest. I don't know who took it. I don't even know if a human made it. I just love it. It's just got like Iron Golem kind of vibes. I dig it hard. And so there's one of my first sort of critters, my river troll, if you can see that there. And some like fauna, and like they're just sort of like little like you'd sort of have, oh no, there's the sun gone again. We'll hang in there. So more, there's another little parasite derby. These were actually images I saw on Pinterest, and I tracked them back to Etsy. I don't know if that is the original seller, but I paid for them. So I did my best. And these were some tests that I did that I actually quite enjoyed and kept. These are when I was trying to use my embosser for the first time and like embossed anything that would sit still long enough. So I was doing some layered cards where I'd sort of tried some different, you can sort of see the iridescence on that, some iridescent paint, some stamping. So just trying out some different techniques, and the ones that didn't look like they've been shot out of a cannon, I actually purposed into things. So I try to do test pieces before I do something, just in case it doesn't look right or I don't like it. I'm very stingy with my resources. I don't have a stash. I have a very small amount of stuff. I usually get things in like thinking of a particular project and then use them up and then get new things. It's one of my only saving graces as far as craft goes. So that turned out quite cool, and that did as well. I had kind of over textured that and left it to thing in the middle, but by the time I had added this embossing on it, I couldn't do much about it. So I've learned now I should age it as much as I want, then emboss it, and then I can age the embossing just for a more even result. So if you're going to try that, that's a good tip. And the back was obviously, because it's embossed, it was really, really kind of denty and hilly. So I've just stuck a piece of leftover cardstock on the back so that if I do choose to write on that, I've actually got a writing surface. So there's some more little cards. So this paper inside here too, which is really pretty, I think, was actually from the reject shop here in Australia. I actually stuck it on the back of this printable, which I printed on paper. And it was like just to reinforce it, because obviously printed on paper, it wasn't very strong. But something I have noticed when I'm making things out of cardstock is cardstock doesn't bend very well. So you probably can't see it. I think I did a good job of hiding it. But right down here, where I've actually cut this cardstock to go on the inside, I didn't go right to the very, very edge, so that it folds really, really neatly. And you'll be able to see by that tab how thin the outdoor is. And I've actually put a little tab of paper on the outside there to firm that up, because it was so, that's like my finger there basically. So yeah, that was a great way to sort of reinforce that and keep that safe. So I'll just reassemble as we go, because I will not remember where these things go otherwise. I'll pop that in there. So that's really just for some interest. And again, trying out new techniques every time I do something. So some more of that kind of writing. This is where I had an idea to use these little brackets. I don't know if you can see that. I'll move it up. I just love it. I just love it. And I just got these cheap from the online. I want to say it was AliExpress. I can't remember, but they are. You can't hear it there. You can't. They are metal. I'm trying to make a metal noise. Truly, when I tell you, the hardest part of this was making sure I printed the labels small enough that they fit inside many different prints to get that accurate. So in here I've got goblins. So there's some more little images. That was in that set of like fantasy creatures. That was an image off Pinterest that I thought went nicely with it. And a little goblin picture. I think that's actually an AI picture that I found on Pinterest, but like I said, where possible, I purchased images so that I could actually give the artist their due, but a lot of things, unfortunately, are not credited. In this file here, you'll see one of my little, or two of my little created receipts, like you would have seen me do in the last journal. Also, if you're loving the sort of like age technique of having the ink on the edge, let me tell you, that was a mistake. The first time I tried to do this, I tried to put this through the printer just as sort of kitchen baking paper. It got extremely stuck. It did print, but it wiped ink all over the place. So that's actually authentic battle damage. And that's also what gave me the idea to not put the vellum through directly, but put it onto paper. So same thing I did for vellum is what I'm doing here. I washi taped it to I printed it out on regular paper, figured out where the designs were going to be, taped down with washi paper the greaseproof paper, and then printed it out. And that was that one you can see there is a lot smoother. There's no ink. But that being said, I lucked out with that kind of battle damage. It turned out okay. And that was another embossed page where I tried to age it after the fact and just age the embossing. I don't love it. I don't hate it. but I don't love it. So yeah, again, another little test piece to see how it turned out. A nice little pocket there from some cardstock that I've just put it through another one of those little crimpy roller cutters, and a tag that I've just popped together there with 2 pieces of paper glued together, just sort of making tags from images on Pinterest. I'm sitting in front of a window getting extremely hot. I don't know whether I actually have my fan light switched on. I do, thank goodness for that. So I hope my fan's not too loud for you. I'm just going to have a quick tea break. One moment. Oh, that's better. Okay, next page. So the Oak King. This is a fabulous print. I purchased a bigger print. This is from Autumn Skye Art. I love, love, love her. I will link her in the comments. I love her work. The Oak King is fantastic. I bought a bigger print, and I actually took a photo of the print to make a smaller print to put in the book. So, yeah, she's a fantastic artist. I don't know if you can see that nice and clearly. Just gorgeous, beautiful artwork. Highly recommend. So go and check her out. Here we've got, that's another one of those little cards that was on the envelope. I wasn't sure what to do with it, but I didn't want to get rid of it, so I chucked it in there. And another one of those little goblins on some of that vintage gift paper that I showed you from my last journal. And that's just printed. You can see a hole there. I was trying a thing, it didn't work, so that's okay. Some vintaging. Another receipt. Now, this, I have to be honest, I'm extremely proud of what's inside this envelope. There's another one further on, but I'm extremely proud of this. So this is just an envelope that I got from the craft store, and I've like made it up to look like a letter, and, you know, making it look very official, coffee stain looking stamp, and all very cool. One night I had an idea, and I thought, I wonder if, also, yeah, make sure you age underneath your thing. It looks weird. I had an idea, and I thought, I wonder if that would work. So the next day I got online and I found one of those roller cutter thingies that does like vintage slides. So like, you know, this, like, you know, click, click, this is our holiday in Acapulco, click, click, here's us at Niagara Falls, that kind of thing. And I thought, I wonder if I could make some. Yes, you can. So what I actually made, I think there's another one. It feels stiff. No, that's so these are, you could probably see them from there. These are some slides, but they're clear. So I'm really, really proud. I don't normally edit my videos, but I'm going to edit a bit here just so I can show you what these look like in the light so you can see them up close. And like, I'm really, really proud of these. So if you can sort of see my hands through them, what I actually did was I printed this on clear sticker paper. And then I sort of off to one side and folded the sticker paper around so that the back was obviously no longer sticky and it was clear all the way through. And I glued them inside. So this is obviously 2 pieces of cardstock. I glued them inside the cardstock to make a slide. I am so proud of these. Are they a little rough? Yeah. This one was actually the first one I tried, and it got a little bit, I don't know if you can make that out on camera, probably not, but it got a little bit crumped. It got stuck. But I think it just vintages, blah, try that again. It makes them look old. I'm so stoked with these, and like, I'm sure probably someone's done this before. I'm not saying no one's ever done this, but I'm just so pleased that I had an idea and I saw it like from beginning to end, and I'm really proud of these. So they're one of my favorite things about this journal. There's another set further on. They're sort of separated out into types of critters, but I'm really proud of that. This is still quite new because it's not been manhandled, so it's a little bit hard to get it done up. There we go. Pop that back in there. It's also too, I know a lot of people that make junk journals tend to do things in different scale, different heights of paper and things like that. I just cannot bring myself to do that. It bothers me. I'm sure it's my autism. I just won't let me have stuff that's like profoundly uneven. The fact that that's mildly wonky bothers me enormously. So I definitely can't have unsized pages. So Leafy Sea Dragon, this was an image from Pinterest. I couldn't find the original author, artist of it. There was no little picture. I Google searched and couldn't find it. So I don't know who made that, but it is beautiful. Most of the images you'll find in my journals too that I have found on Pinterest, you will actually see on my Pinterest. I'll link that in the description as well. if you want to go check out my Pinterest, it does nothing for me. I don't get any money for it or anything. Like it's just, if you like the things that you see me printing out and you want them as well, pretty much everything that I haven't bought from Etsy or from a brick and mortar store is pinned in my Pinterest. So you'll see like there's fantasy, fairy and fantasy inspiration is where a lot of these are. I have junk journal folders. All of the images I use are there. So go check that out if you want to copy some of these. This is another little folio that I'll show you. It's both same on both sides, but it's got a pocket and it folds over on the other side, which I thought was pretty cool. I think that was another Pinterest image, and that was another created postcard. I made it too short. It was just a little bit too short, so I've added some paper scraps on the top to sort of add a little bit of interest and blend it into the page. I also tried to pull it up and fix it and tore the page. I could have thrown this in the bin. I hung in there, so pretty much anything can be fixed. That was a printed out image of a little envelope. I haven't even glued it yet. I don't really know what I want to do with it. I was thinking possibly of adding, like reinforcing it, so you can see how thin these are if you're not reinforcing them with cardstock. I may not. Another Pinterest image. So that one's still sort of, it looks okay as it is, but I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to sort of do anything else with that or if that's just how that's going to look. And there's the other side of the pocket. I also got a little packet of these die cuts from the secondhand store around this time, so you'll see some of those starting to make their way in. I just aged that up a little bit, so it's just cardstock, the old school scrapbooking ones where you had sort of scrapbook paper on the one side and then a picture on the other, and I just fussy cut that out. That was another Pinterest image, and I've got some more here. Oops, stuck. Some more little Pinterest images I found. Again, I can't find who made them, so if you know, or if it's you, please tell me and I will credit you. Put another one of those little papers inside this envelope. Because this is just paper, this envelope, it's very sort of soft, and because the paper, the folder itself there is quite tight fit, I couldn't get the paper in. It just kept bending, so I actually popped that piece of paper in there to sort of reinforce it so that it wouldn't bend over. Pop that back there. Just reassemble that briefly. Paper clips are fantastic for just pinning stuff in. They don't have to look official. Now this is pretty cool. I actually made, I think that was one back there and I forgot to tell you about it. This is actually a little folio that I made. So if you have a look, that actually goes through to the back. It's the same, it's like a wraparound folio. I also glued that page in the back there because I had a thing and it didn't look right, and I've glued that down, but I've only put it down with washi tape. So if I decide to do something else there, I can remove that without destroying that picture. So that's what's at the back. But you can see that's a folio, and it's got the pocket on the inside and it's got the pocket on the other side in here. So that kind of wraps around, and you'll notice that inside, just like what we had back here, it's got in the dead center, it's got those pieces of paper. So just like the front one. So this is sort of in two folios, if you will. So in here, this is another one in that set of die cuts just there, and that's a little image from Pinterest. Pop those guys to the side. Another image from Pinterest. That was some paper that I aged and embossed, and I love this picture of pansies. Another Pinterest image. Pinterest is a really great resource for things. If you were planning to sell anything, I would never sell anything that's using someone else's image unless I had paid a commercial license for it. So technically, because I'm showing it, it might count as selling it, but I would never sell, well, I don't want to sell this book anyway, but I would never sell anything that's using someone else's images without them being at the very limited credited if that's what they wanted, or remunerated if that's what they wanted, because you really should have a commercial license before you sell someone else's images. So just as a heads up, if you want to go into making these to sell, make sure that you either have permission or have paid a commercial license. This is just for my own fun. So another one, the forest golem, that's the bigger guy. And yeah, all of these are wonky, but because I was using these little photo corners, I was committed once I let them touch the paper, and I went, oh, you know what? It's wonky. It's a field book. Let it be wonky. So this little tag here, I actually made this a few years ago for a little jar of bird seed that I was keeping to feed the birdies. When we started feeding the birdies, the cockatoos, I don't know if you're familiar with Australia, but the cockatoos came by and the little birds went away. So cockatoos are very cool and unique to Australia, but they are also very loud, very big, and quite destructive. It's not an ideal thing to encourage them into your garden, so I stopped feeding the little birdies because they went away, and thankfully the cockatoos have mostly left me alone. But I pulled that tag off the glued on string I had around the jar, because everything has to be extra, because I wanted to keep it. So that's just tucked in there. I haven't really got a purpose for it. I just liked it. Next page, that's another one of Autumn Skye Arts pictures. I bought a print of that one. And I've got some little tags that I've made up together there, just sort of trying out some different techniques and ideas. I also bought a punch cutter to do off the dollar store to do that sort of edging there. I wanted to give that a try, and then once I'd made them I thought, oh yeah, I'll just make them fit this book, they'll work. So that's the sea witch. I'm not sure what she actually calls that one, but I've just called it sea witch. Another vellum, this was the other side of the A4 piece, so that's another Harry Potter themed print. Image off Pinterest. I've not been able to find out who made that. There's some more paper and more paper images, and this was, what did I do here? That was like I did these like botanical samples, so like you're sort of sticking them down, obviously not exact biological samples, but a bit of an idea, and some more of that paper, which also helps to keep them safe, because that's paper that I've made, and it's not super sturdy. Handmade paper is never as tough as commercially made paper, so I've just got that tucked in the back there to help hold it safe. Another image from Pinterest, the green man. We've got, oops, jumped the ship, there we go, more images in there. I left that free because I do love these prints. I've used these in a few things. I've reused these pages in a few of my things. You'll see them in a commonplace book that I've got lined up coming up as well. I may add some extra stuff there. As is typical, by the end of this I was starting to lose interest, so if I find some more images that I want to put in, I can put them in there. And my final piece before the end there, I started getting a little bit more exciting with my ephemera here. I'm using a sticker, but it looks a little bit more like a botanical sort of example there, and there's my little decoupage that I tested, so that's a little decoupage test. And I did another layered one there. That's not sewn, that's that stamp. I don't know if you can see it. See, it's not thread. So, and practicing sort of making index cards and having things like that to make them look a little bit more like files, which I thought was pretty rad. Turned out pretty good. I'll clip those back in there. And I made another botanical style tag. I didn't want to use actual botanicals because I figured they'd fall apart, so, but that's pretty cool. So that's some more of those little slides, which are so cool. I just want to show you them all. Is that everybody? Yep. So there's some more woodcutter gnomes, elder gnome. Oh no, that was the one that got really stuck. That's right. That one got really stuck. And the forest god. So very, very, very cool. So I'll do another cut in there for you to see those. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how they turned out. If that is something you guys want to see how I made them, I'm happy to do a video on that. It's surprisingly easy, just takes a little bit of patience. Probably the most, I wouldn't say difficult, but probably the most challenging part of it is making sure you have something clear that you can print on, whether that's clear adhesive stickers sheet or some sort of clear vellum or something like that. That's really the hardest part. And that's the end there. I don't know what's going to happen with that yet. We'll see. But that's my beastiary. So I'm pretty happy with that. It turned out the way I envisioned. This, again, this sort of closure situation here is not ideal, but I haven't figured that out yet. So for now, we're going to use a rubber band, which, like I said, kind of works in sort of time with the office foil, so it works out quite nice. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Always happy to talk papercraft, and if there's any of these techniques that you guys really want to see a video on, let me know, because I have a list of things I'm going to sort of do videos on and flip through, talk about, all that kind of stuff, but I'm always happy to add to that list, so let me know. So I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.